hear what they are and what they're doing to us, more importantly.
Can I list them all?
I try.
Little things, drinking too much coffee, drinking any coffee. I know there's a lot of people sitting at Tim Hortons right now going, what?
When you're stressed out, that does something to you, coffee.
It does. The caffeine is a stress inducer. And I write
Yes.
about this in the book, and I say caffeine is a stress inducer. It's not a stress reducer, right? Nicotine, again, stress inducer, because you become dependent
Opt for
on the
green tea.
chemical. Green tea is great, has all the antioxidant qualities of caffeine without the negative side effects. I can drink as much green tea as I want, but give me 1 cup of coffee, and because I have high blood pressure, which I need to battle with as well, it affects my blood pressure almost immediately,
Wow.
and I can feel it in my body. So, those sorts of things, sometimes we don't feel the effects, and so we think that nothing's happening, but that's not the case. So coffee, smoking, consuming alcohol. If you need alcohol at the end of your day, chances are you're an alcoholic. And if you say, well, I can go the whole day without it, but I really need that glass of wine at the end of the day, if you're dependent on it, you're putting yourself
got a
at
problem.
risk, right? There are other things, other habits that we have, which are just ridiculous. Always saying yes when we should say no. We were talking about this at the
Yes.
break, that one of the hardest things for people to do is to just say no. Because we're afraid. We're afraid that we're going to be rejected. We're afraid that we're going to be judged. There's a fear attached to
Okay,
it, and
fear.
that's why we
need
don't
to
do
deal
it.
with the fear. Deal with it,
Okay.
Julie.
All right.
Fear and stress, they go hand in hand.
They do, absolutely. And very often the stress that we're experiencing comes from fear, right? Fear of rejection. You go to a job interview, you're stressed. Why? Because you're afraid they won't like you, right? You're afraid of rejection. You're afraid that you're going to be denied. You go to the bank to ask for a loan, there's stress. Why? Because you're afraid that the bank is going to say no. What will happen if the bank turns me down and I can't get that money? What will that mean, right? So fear is always attached to some kind of meaning. And so one of the things that's really important for us to do then is to reframe what we're going through. If I'm going for a job interview and I'm worried that they're not going to like me, or that they're going to say no. Well, did I have a job before I went in for the interview? No. Will I have a job when I come out of the interview? Maybe. So either way, I'm either going to break even or I'm going to come out ahead, right? There's only been one occasion in my whole life where I've had a prospective employer be really mean to me, and that's because she offered me the job and I turned her down for something better. And she went up one side of me and down the other, and I thought, sorry,
Hey, you
but
still have that
I have to
job.
make a choice, right? I have to make a choice. I have to say no to somebody. It's either you or the other guy. So either way,
Not a bad problem to
right?
have,
It's
though.
not a bad problem to have. And so we need to start reframing what's going on in our lives. And instead of always being afraid, I actually created a little self-diagnostic for one of my clients to help her to diagnose when she's experiencing that anxiety and how to talk herself through it and ask herself some really key questions. Because she worries about the market, she worries about whether or not her houses will
dear.
sell and all these sorts of things. And I say, well,
that's the time we live in.
can you control whether or not somebody wants to buy a house? No, but you can influence them. So you do your job and leave it there. Don't worry about the rest. We spend a lot of time worrying
How do
about
we
what
not
we
worry?
can't control.
Does it take practice to not worry? I mean, it sounds simple here, but I'm asking you this.
I don't know if it takes practice, but I think it takes a certain level of consciousness. We live our lives unconsciously, right?
yes,
we
we
drive
do.
to work, we don't remember how we got there, we just go one foot in front of the other. But to be able to say, this is the situation, this could happen, what am I going to do about it? Instead of focusing on what's going to go wrong and then clenching and bracing for it, there are things that we can do to avoid those potentialities, right? And so I always say, look, if it's possible and it's plausible, then start doing your damage control now. Look at ways that you can prevent the worst from happening and then work towards having the best happen, right? And that puts you in a better situation. You're more in control, you're making choices, and you're not a victim anymore. Things aren't happening to you.
Yes.
You are creating your outcome.